Browns restructuring Deshaun Watson's contract today to reduce his $81 million cap charge and enable them to sign free agents. Cleveland, Ohio, for what could be the last time. The Browns are restructuring Deshaun Watson's enormous contract today to clear cap space heading into free agency and the trade market next week. The Browns are converting a sizable chunk of Watson's $80.716 million cap charge into a restructure bonus to ease the huge burden. The exact amount of cap relief was not immediately known, but the charges will be added to the void years in his contract, which currently run from 2027 to 2029. The restructure will enable the Browns to sign some of their own free agents and those of other teams. They need offensive linemen and receivers, among other things. The negotiating period opens at noon on Monday, and teams can finalize deals on Wednesday at 4 p.m. A high priority for the Browns in free agency is to re-sign pending free agent linebacker Devin Bush, who had a career year for them last season, notching a career-high 124 tackles and 3 interceptions, 2 of which were returned for touchdowns. He was the only player in the NFL with 2 pick-sixes in 2025. In addition to Bush, the Browns will try to re-sign punter Corey Bojorquez and guard Tevin Jenkins, both of whom are set to hit the market next week. The NFL salary cap for 2026 has increased by $22 million to $301.2 million, the first time it's eclipsed $300 million. Heading into Watson's restructure, the Browns were $17.1 million over the cap for the third least space in the NFL. The 2 teams below them were the Bills, $31.77 million over, and the Vikings, $46.675 million over. The Browns gamble, restructuring Deshaun Watson's contract, and the price of tomorrow. In the high-stakes world of the NFL, financial decisions often shape the destiny of franchises just as much as the players on the field. On a pivotal day in March, the Cleveland Browns once again made a bold financial maneuver, restructuring the contract of quarterback Deshaun Watson. The move was designed to reduce his enormous $81 million salary cap charge and create space for the team to pursue free agents ahead of the new league year. While the decision provides immediate relief, it also reflects a broader story about risk, strategy, and the consequences of long-term commitments in professional sports. The burden of a historic contract. Back in 2022, the Cleveland Browns shocked the NFL world by acquiring Watson from the Houston Texans and signing him to a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract. At the time, it was the most controversial and financially aggressive quarterback deal in league history. The Browns believed they were securing a franchise quarterback capable of transforming the organization into a perennial contender. However, the reality has been far more complicated. Watson's tenure in Cleveland has been marred by suspension and injuries, limiting him to just a fraction of the games he could have played since arriving. As a result, the team has struggled to receive the level of performance expected from such a massive investment. Yet, because the contract is fully guaranteed, the Browns are financially committed regardless of how Watson performs or whether he is able to stay healthy. This commitment has led to a growing salary cap problem. By 2026, Watson's cap hit ballooned to around $80 to $81 million, an astronomical figure in the NFL's salary cap system. That single number threatened to consume more than a quarter of the team's total spending limit for the season, severely restricting Cleveland's ability to build a competitive roster around him. What the restructure means. To address this issue, the Browns used a common but controversial financial tactic, converting a large portion of Watson's base salary into a signing bonus. In practical terms, the team took roughly $44 to $45 million of Watson's salary and paid it as a bonus that can be spread across several future years on the salary cap. This accounting maneuver immediately reduced Watson's cap hit for the upcoming season and cleared roughly $35 to $36 million in space. That newly created flexibility allows Cleveland to become cap compliant and gives the front office room to pursue free agents who could strengthen the roster. In essence, the Browns pushed part of the financial burden into the future. The team gains breathing room today, but tomorrow's salary cap will carry heavier charges because of it. The strategy behind the decision. Why would a franchise knowingly push financial problems into the future? The answer lies in the relentless urgency of the NFL. Teams operate in short, competitive windows. A few strong signings in free agency can turn a mediocre roster into a playoff contender almost overnight. Cleveland's leadership understands that standing still is not an option in a league where rivals are constantly improving. By restructuring Watson's contract, the Browns create the opportunity to add key players at positions of need. Additionally, releasing Watson outright would be even more damaging. Because so much of his contract is guaranteed, cutting him could trigger more than $130 million in dead money, cap charges for a player no longer on the roster. In other words, the Browns are financially tied to Watson whether he plays or not. Given that reality, restructuring becomes the least painful option available. The cost of kicking the can. While the move offers short-term relief, it also continues a pattern that has defined Cleveland's approach to Watson's deal, repeatedly pushing costs forward. Each time the team restructures the contract, future seasons become more complicated. Salary cap charges accumulate in later years, potentially leaving the franchise with massive dead cap penalties if they eventually decide to move on from Watson. Analysts already predict that when Cleveland ultimately parts ways with him, tens of millions of dollars in dead money will linger on the team's books for years afterward. In effect, the Browns are borrowing against the future to compete today. The human element. Beyond spreadsheets and salary cap charts lies the human dimension of the decision. For Watson, the restructure ensures he continues to receive the money guaranteed in his contract. For the Browns, it represents a reaffirmation, at least financially, that they are still committed to navigating the consequences of the deal. But for fans, the situation is more complex. Some supporters remain hopeful that Watson can rediscover the form that once made him a Pro Bowl quarterback. Others view the contract as a cautionary tale about the dangers of fully guaranteed mega deals in the NFL, a defining moment for the franchise. The Browns' decision to restructure Watson's contract is more than a routine financial adjustment. It is a symbol of the franchise's current reality, balancing ambition with the consequences of past decisions. By reducing the $81 million cap hit, Cleveland gains the ability to chase free agents and strengthen its roster. Yet the move also deepens the financial commitments that will shape the organization's future. In the end, this moment captures the essence of modern NFL management. Success requires bold risks, creative accounting, and the willingness to gamble on uncertain outcomes. For the Browns, restructuring Watson's contract is another roll of the dice, one that could either keep their championship hopes alive or extend the shadow of a deal that has already reshaped the franchise.